Chung, your go-to for all things marketing, mindset, and manifestation. I grew my online business from 0 to beyond 6 figures in 8 months. My purpose is to empower women to step into the highest, most aligned versions of themselves. If you are ready to take charge of your life, learn how to design a wildly successful business, and leave limiting beliefs behind, you've come to the right place. You will learn the actionable tips and step-by-step strategies on money, manifestation, and social media. It's time to step into your role as boss, to raise your vibration and tap into your unlimited potential today. Welcome to the Social Reset Podcast. Hi. Before we get into the episode, I have an exciting announcement to make, and it is that my mastermind, Magic Mind, is starting in October of this year. I am so excited. The waitlist is actually already available. It's in the show notes. If you put your name on the waitlist, you will be first to be notified when applications go live for the mastermind. So let's talk a little bit about the mastermind. It's going to be called Magic Mind, and the concepts are simple yet transformative, life-changing. We're going to be focusing on mastering manifestation. So this is for the spiritual business owner, the coach, the service provider that wants to be confident in manifesting any desire through lovingly partnering with their unique brain and energetic design. You're going to be rewriting your story, so shedding old identities, old paradigms, old supremacy systems that no longer align into creating your way of doing business. It will also be heart-centered. Your business is a reflection of you, so you're going to be learning how to process your emotions, regulate your nervous system, co-create with the spirit of your business and the spirit of money to build a thriving, sustainable company that lights you up from the inside out. If you want to be a part of this transformative 5-month experience, go and join the waitlist. It's in the show notes. When applications are live, you will be notified. You will fill out an application, and then we will set up a consultation together, you and me, on Zoom, and you will have a chance to learn anything you want about the mastermind, ask any questions, and then you will be invited to join and to enroll. All right. So all of the details will be inside the wait list once you join, and I would love to see you inside. All right. Check the show notes, the link in my bio. It's all there for the waitlist information to be notified when applications go live. And I'm really excited about this one, and I hope to see you inside. All right. Enjoy this episode. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how I operate in my very non-conforming, non-traditional business. What I do, how I got here, what are some of the beliefs I had to switch, what are some things I do, I don't do, and how and why does this work for me? So let's talk about all the things. So let's start with some of the things that make my business a little bit non-traditional versus what is traditional. So traditionally in business, you have a business plan. Traditionally, we're taught to plan each quarter. If you have worked in corporate or a startup, you might have had quarterly goals, and we're normally taught to work towards those goals by, setting like SMART, SMART goals. If you've ever heard of SMART, the acronym, I believe it stands for, let me look it up. So it stands for creating goals that are S, specific, M, measurable, A, achievable, R, relevant, and T, time bound. So SMART, right? Like a lot of us have heard of this, and this is the way that a lot of us, even if it isn't a specific acronym, that's the way we're taught to set our goals. It's very neurotypical. A lot of traditional business building is just very neurotypical. It's very focused on what works for, linear brains and people who are able to, get things done in a very neurotypical way. People who do not have ADHD or autism or other things that would identify them as neurodiverse. So I have an ADHD brain. Normally what incentivizes me is not time or even money, it's emotions. So I don't even really have money goals in my business anymore. I have certain ways I want to feel in my business. So right now I'm focusing on feeling joyful and free and expansive. And my money thoughts are just that I'll always make more money than I can spend. And I've had a consistent flow of abundant cash in my business, even without tracking and hitting specific money goals. It's been so freeing for me because then I'm not pressuring myself to I'm so close. I got to launch this thing or do that or do this. It's like, I really just want to feel a certain way in my business. And that actually incentivizes me and motivates me so much more. So traditional business building also has to do with, showing up in a certain way, getting things done in a certain time frame. So time sensitive goals, time blocking your day. If you've heard of time blocking, that's like down to the hour or like hour ranges. This is what you're focusing on. This is what you're doing. Each hour you're working on this. From 11 to 12, you do this. From 12 to 1, you do this. From 1 to 2, you do that. Just thinking about that makes me want to vomit. That creates so much anxiety for me. Even just thinking about that, I'm like, my chest is tightening. I'm like breaking out in hives. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. That doesn't work for me. And I know that, I'm sure I haven't met these people, but I'm sure there are people out there who they maybe love that. Actually I can't think of one or two people that they've told me that works for them. But you know what? That doesn't work for me. And actually that would do much more harm than good to try to show up like somebody else, And I'll talk more about my belief on how I got really confident to that place. Other things I don't do is I don't batch create my content all at once. So I don't write all of my emails at the same time. I don't write a bunch of Instagram posts and then post them all. I write and really trust my energy to be with me in the moment. And then I just post it right away. I feel like I do not need to hoard all of my energy to be used up all at once because I trust that my energy is going to come back to me when I need it. And if I really don't feel like writing it at the quote unquote allocated time that my post is supposed to go out, I just don't do it. And I just don't shame myself for it. And everything's okay. The world keeps turning. We create so many rules, especially now since, social media and this digital age that we're living in is so reliant upon technology and digital posts and content that we have created these traditional rules now of showing up in business and being productive and getting things done and being on all the platforms and doing 5 million things all at once. And that just doesn't work for some people, specifically if you have an ADHD brain. It's just not going to work. And so a big belief portion of this has been me really looking at what do I believe about showing up in business? What do I believe about showing up on social media? Why do I feel like I need to show up this way? What's going to happen if I don't? What happens if I drop all of the shoulds and the should do, need to do, all those things that I have been taught and the shame, and what is left? What is left after all of the shame and the shoulds being released from me? That is who I am to my core. And we have been taught to feel shameful over things that don't look very neat and put together and neurotypical. And a lot of the world doesn't operate in that way. And that's okay. I think the biggest part of that is realizing that. Something that really helped me too is understanding my human design. My human design as a 3-5 sacral generator is to trust my gut, literally my sacral chakra, trust how it feels when I'm making decisions. I'm also a non-specific manifester. So that means I don't really need to get clear on details. I'm not a very detailed, planned, or organized person. All of my arrows point to the right. The right signifies flow and ease. All of my arrows, not just one of them, all of them, including my manifestor arrow, points to the right, which indicates that I'm meant to be in flow. This is how I'm meant to be successful. If I try to be this organized, strategic, linear planner that, has all these goals and these plans, that would actually literally work against me. I'm meant to be a very flowy person, an entrepreneur. And because I grew up around people who were not like that, even my own daughter is not like that, but my parents are definitely not. My mom's an accountant, my dad's a CPA. They're very logical, practical planners, very organized, very meticulous, very analytical, right? And so I would try to show up like them, or my sister, who's also the same way. Like, she loves spreadsheets. She's, very, very, she has Virgo in her chart too. So she's just like very, it's just strategic in everything that she does, and it works for her, right? So there's so many things that I've picked up from people around me that I felt like, oh, well, they're successful, and, I'm conditioned by society that sleeping in and not being organized and this and that are all like lazy and unproductive and somehow less than. So let me try to work extra hard and like go into overdrive so I can show up and seem like a good student and a good employee and a good person and a good friend. And it just wore me out. And it wasn't until I gave myself permission to, understanding my energy, yes, through human design, but also just through partnering with my cycle and my energy, right? Another piece of this is that the corporate work week, the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, is created for and by men. Men, if you are in a male body and in a cis male body, you have a 24-hour energy cycle. Their energy renews every day. Okay, so 24 cycle, you can get up and go, recharge, get up, go, and do it over and over and over again. If you are a woman, you have a cycle that honors the moon cycle, which is 28 days, right? Like nearly a month. We have monthly energy cycles. We bleed, we menstruate, we have energy levels that go up and down because we have wombs, because we have uteruses, right? And a big part of that is that a lot of traditional business building is not created with women's even education, but women in mind, right? Let alone like our energy cycles and like reproductive knowledge and education. And so when women try to show up in corporate settings that were created by men for men, of course, they're going to feel extremely burnt out. This is why so many women end up in the hospital. And literally, I have a friend who's a physician, and she tells me that women will literally beg to stay in the hospital for longer because they know when they go home, they have to go back into the cycle and not let themselves rest. Being at the hospital is rest. For some women, it's the first time they've allowed themselves to rest because this world is not designed for women's energy cycles. Isn't that insanity? So what I've done is first take myself out of the corporate world completely. It just doesn't work for me. I think that there are some corporate settings that are created and designed for more freedom and flexibility. That wasn't my experience for the most part. One of my jobs, I did have a little bit more freedom, which was great. But for the most part, it can feel very restricting. And obviously, I'm speaking to a podcast where mostly all of you who are listening are entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in the making, or you want to be one at some point. So, of course, there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5 or being in corporate or being an employee. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So many of my students are building their businesses and working their day jobs at the same time. And some of them love their day jobs and some of them don't. And that's okay, right? There's nothing wrong with being an employee. Absolutely nothing wrong. But what I'm saying here is that what I've done in my experience is I've left that world. I was let go from my 9 to 5 and I decided deliberately not to find another job because I wanted to create that freedom for myself, right? I didn't know all of this about my energy cycles and that I had ADHD and all these things when I started my business in the very beginning. I learned this over time, but I was just trusting this nudge, this intuition that I was just meant to build something on my own. I've always been a self-starter. I've always been just really like self-motivated. I've always been an entrepreneur. I would sell comic books and I created like game boards and designed a bunch of different things, write short stories, whatever, since I was in early elementary, and I would sell them to my friends and my teachers. So I've always just had that gene in me. It's just a part of who I am. So I always knew that at some point I was probably going to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know how. So of course, when that time came around, I, had all these beliefs about being in business, and my dad was a big hustler. He worked really hard. He still does. And, growing up, I didn't see him a lot of the time because he was working so hard. So I had all these beliefs about how I needed to show up in business, being socialized as a woman, right? The patriarchy, industrialism, capitalism, what we're taught. I thought I had to work hours on end in order to be successful, right? My Asian culture and that like hustle background, all of this fed into me essentially overworking myself to the ground and feeling like I didn't even know what I was doing anymore. So that's when I started shifting things. I started looking at other entrepreneurs and started to hire mentors where I looked up to them, not because of just their skill set in where they are in their business, but their actual lifestyle. Are they just working 24/7 and have no life outside of that? Or are they really enjoying their lives? They're going to take trips. They're going on vacation. They're enjoying quality time with their partner, with their kids, with their friends. They're really enjoying their life and they're making a lot of money. That's what I wanted to see. And that's what I started gravitating towards because that's who I wanted to become. So over time, I started shifting my beliefs from I need to sacrifice so much and work so hard and work 10-hour days and 12-hour days to, yes, I can if there is, a day. Actually, this is a good example. I'm launching a mastermind. We're starting in October and I'm using the month of September to kind of be that launch phase. I'm going to get on consultation calls with people who want to join. The application is going to be open, right? So I'm prepping myself for that. And today was one of those days where I just had this huge burst of energy. I actually did end up taking 2 naps, but I'm also recording this at 1 a.m. I actually just had dinner. Let me check the time. It's 2. It's 2 a.m. And I'm like wide awake because I just took like a nap that made me wake up at 10:30 p.m. I don't always do this, by the way. I know how important sleep is to our mental health and to our physical health. And so I really do try to sleep on time, but I still like sleep in a lot. Anyway, that's not the point. ADHD. So today was one of those days where I was so on fire. My VA and I were bouncing back and forth. She was helping me with the sales page. She helped me set up the waitlist form. I wrote out a bunch of emails, which I typically don't ever do, but I just had this idea that I was like, okay, let's talk about this. So I started to kind of map it out a little bit. I started to write out like the whole concept of the mastermind. Like, what am I going to focus on? What are we doing? What are we actually doing? What are people actually walking away with? And I just ended up with pages of content. I started asking myself, like, what is the highest self-concept that my best fit clients think about themselves? What do they think about my offer? What do I think about my offer? A lot of the work that I do now, because I delegate so much to my incredible executive assistant, a lot of the work I do now is belief work. So I actually sat at a cafe outside with a avocado toast And I just sat with the spirit of my offer. I just sat with this mastermind, with the spirit of my mastermind. I was like, okay, what is meant to come through? What do you want to become, right? What is it that is the essence of who you are? And I just sat in dialogue, and I just opened myself to receive messages and downloads. And I just wrote and I wrote and I wrote, and I allowed myself to be in collaboration with this offer. I'm not trying to do my way through it and like plan out this whole launch thing and, have all these things written out. Like I do it as it feels good, right? Like I did pre-write like 1 or 2 emails. But at the same time, I'm spending a lot of time with my beliefs because I know that nobody's going to want my offer if I don't want my offer. Like, yes, I downloaded it and yes, I'm so excited about it. But beyond that, what is this going to do for my people? What can people expect? How will they come in and how will they come out changed forever? I spend so much time sitting with that now when I create offers. I don't just pull things out of my ass. I'm very aligned and congruent. And I'm also trying to get very clear on how to, write copy for my offers, how to really get clear on, what they can expect, because I know that people have shorter attention spans. And, if we have content that goes like 10 different ways, sometimes it's hard to follow. And so I try my best to, okay, what is the main point here? How can people, read through this, get what they need, and decide whether or not it's for them? I always want my people to make very aligned decisions. And at the same time, because I'm offering this and I'm like burning up about it, I'm so excited. I'm like, well, people need to know this, right? Like, what can I share that lets people know that? And so a lot of my behind the scenes process is the belief work and the energy work and holding the energy of the container and letting that radiate through my posts and my content, right? I want it to be a safe space where people can grow. I want it to be a place where people can step into this new iteration of themselves. And so through my content, through what I'm planning, how can I let that shine? How can I share examples of how I've done that and how I've made those transformations? So this was one of those days where I spent a lot of time doing that, but I also don't do this the majority of the time in my business. Majority of the time, I am, just showing up for my coaching calls, and I spend a little bit of time to, create content and post it. I spend some time, doing things where it's very like outward facing, where I'm going on live, I'm doing my master classes. I really like creating graphics and things because it's just so easy for me. If it wasn't easy, I would delegate that too, but it's kind of meditative for me and it's really fun. So I like to create some of the graphics on my own for my business. And I keep it simple. These are the main things in my business, but every so often when there's a launch, I will let myself, hustle a little bit because I know now when I need to stop. Like earlier today, I started to feel my eyes glaze over. My head was starting to pound a little bit. There was more I wanted to get done and I could have, but I was like, nope. My body needs to rest. So I literally shut the laptop and I was like, I'm going to back away now. Close the laptop, close it, put it down, walk away. And I went into bed and I took a nap. And that's when I woke up at 10:30. So I know that I will not let myself over hustle now. And so I let myself do it a little bit and I'm intentional with it. And I know when to walk away when it is no longer serving me. In the beginning of my business, I didn't know how to do that. All I did was hustle. I didn't know how to step away from the laptop, right? Someone literally had to peel it away from my cold, dead hands. I would bring it everywhere with me just in case like I had a little bit of time to work. I would work, right? And now I'm just like, I'm chilling. My laptop doesn't leave my desk unless I really want to like intentionally, remote work somewhere, which like I really don't like doing that as much anymore just because I like having my bathroom right here and my kitchen right there and my bunny right there. And if I want to hop on live, my microphone's right here, whatever, right? Like I don't have to worry about finding an outlet, shitty Wi-Fi. So I've just created a way of building my business that works really well for me. And I think a big part of that was trial and erroring and trying the time blocking, trying scheduling everything out, trying having to-do list apps and realizing like, oh, this is an absolute fuck no for me. Like absolutely not. Just no, just it's a no from me, dog. And that certainty only came from me trying it and like putting my heart into it and really just seeing like, oh, let me see if this would work, you know? And then realizing, no, just flat out, fuck no. And then I just honor that, right? So I've learned to listen to my body. I've learned to listen to my energy. I've learned to even, plan things around my cycle. So if I know it's like the week that I'm bleeding, I'm not doing any crazy thing that week, I don't always do it so perfectly. Like, for example, I just launched a 3-week offer where this week was the first week and, I was on my period and I was, pretty tired, but I also didn't have to do too many, I didn't really have to do too much because it was a mini course and I already kind of knew what I was doing and talking about. And so it wasn't too much exertion of energy. Like I said, I'm just not a great planner, so I don't always think ahead about these things. And sometimes I am just very, very spontaneous and I love that. But that's something I do take into consideration now. So much more is the week that I'm bleeding, I'm not pushing myself to work. I'm letting myself rest because my body needs it. And I'm giving myself more days off. I'm more compassionate. I go and do massages and spa days and I just take care of myself. If I need to sleep in more, take more naps because my body's just so tired, I do that. And I don't shame myself for it because it's exactly what my body needs, right? It is exactly what I need. And then, I evaluate, right? Evaluation is a really big part of building a business. You can't just go and do and do and do. And when you don't get your results, just try to do more and more and more. You sit and you figure out, okay, so what's working? What's not working? What do I want to do differently? What have I learned from this experience? What did I learn from this launch? When I got these no's, when I, thought that double the people would sign up, what could I do differently? What did I learn from this? What energy was I in? Was something unaligned that could have created this unaligned result? I do a lot of that. And I'll be honest, sometimes it's really hard to do that because it takes a lot of introspection and a lot of kindness. So I do not beat myself up over it. It's more of this energy of curiosity, like, let me see why this didn't work the way I thought it would. Let's get curious. Let's play with it. Let's just, see what's going on. Rather than like, oh, shouldn't have done this. Oh, why did I do that? Oh God, I'm so dumb. Like, oh, I should try this. Like, oh, I'm just never going to be successful. Oh, this person's got it figured out and I'm just struggling, right? Like, I don't do that to myself. And so evaluation has become a process that is easier in a sense, but it's still, sometimes it can still, feel like an ego bruise and it can still feel, a little bit difficult to process those emotions, but it's so good when you do. I also detoxed a lot of my beliefs around conditioning and supremacy systems. So we all grew up in this society that, essentially wants us to be a cog in the ever-growing machine of capitalism and working 9 to 5. That's why they want us to wake up early, and that's why it's seen as more professional and productive, is because they literally want us to work and work and work and work to build this capitalistic machine that is America and beyond. And so when we do something outside of that, it is seen as lazy or unproductive or non-traditional, or you're doing it wrong, or you're whatever, right? Like, it's all of these things that have been seen as superior and neurotypical because the world is mainly, neurotypical people. So it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that most of the world operates in a different way and has made you wrong. You are not wrong. People and society tries to make you wrong. And so you take back your power every single time you sleep in. You take back your power every single time you say fuck it to time blocking. You take back your power every single time you don't quarterly plan out your launches and offers, right? Unless the caveat is that if it lights you up and you love it and it works for you, then do it. I am not saying don't do these things. I'm sure there are people that get so much out of these things. I'm just not one of those people, and I will never be. And I've tried it and it just doesn't work for me. In my bones, it does not work for me. And I have found a way that works for me. So if some of this works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, find something else that does, and it's okay. All right. So yeah, when I started to change my beliefs and I started to trial and error, I started to evaluate, I let myself just play around with a new way of doing things. And I stopped letting other people run my life. I stopped wondering what my parents would think and what my friends would think and how other people would judge me and how I would come across and, all the stuff around shame and how I should be and how I should act and how I should build my business. And when someone else tells me how successful they've been doing it this way and how I should do it that way, I've just stopped letting other people make major decisions in my life and business. Nobody knows you as well as you know yourself. Nobody. Not the coach you're working with, not your parents, not your best friend, nobody. I don't even let my coaches have the final say. And I don't work with a single coach. I would never work with a coach that is, in a place where they feel like they can tell me what to do, or that their opinion and that their word is more important than my own. I only work with coaches who 100% give me my power, and just anytime I, even attempt to ask a question that gives them my power, they give it right back to me. And that's how I coach my students. I never tell my students what to do. They make the final decision. They have the final say. They are executive in their business. All I do is help guide them back to their power. When they ask me, what should I do? How should I do this? I ask them that question right back, and I let them sit with it. And when they say, I don't know this, I trust that there is a part of them that does know, even if it's not coming up for them right now. I trust that my students, my clients are smart and inquisitive and self-reflective, and they're self-actualized to a point where they know. Sometimes it's a little hard to figure that out and to sit with it and let it come to the surface, but it is there. And I want to run a life where I always make my decisions from a place of deep intuition and from who I am as a person, who I'm meant to be. And so over time, this is what it's created: a multi-six-figure CEO that sleeps until noon and doesn't plan anything and is very spontaneous and flowy and connected to her intuition. And I've never had more fun or felt more joy in my business ever. Ever, ever, ever. I am so connected to what I'm creating and so connected to my purpose. And I wish the same for you. And if you want to do this on a deeper level, if you're feeling called to do this work, if you don't feel completely connected to your business or in flow as much as you would like to, this is the very reason I created the mastermind, Magic Mind. We start in October, and it is an intimate mentorship container. It's a group mastermind container where we focus on everything that I shared today, on creating a business that is non-conforming, that works for you and your energy cycles. I'm not teaching you how to show up as me. I'm teaching you to honor what looks and feels right for you. You learn to partner with your unique energetic design. You shed old identities and oppressive beliefs from society and culture and supremacy systems that don't serve you. You rewire your beliefs into creating the most dreamy and turned on reality. And more than that, you deepen your relationship with yourself and your business so that it becomes a living, breathing spiritual practice, a co-creative partnership. And you strengthen your intuition to make soul-led decisions so that you don't rely on outside validation. And you create the expansiveness and the freedom and the joy that you want to feel in your business as you step into this highest iteration of who you are as a coach or a service-based business owner. This mastermind is designed for you. All right. I would love to see you inside. The wait list is in the show notes, and all of the details will be in there once you add yourself to that list. And it's going to be such an amazing time. I would love to see you there. All the details you can find in the show notes, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in and have a beautiful day. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe. If this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at tiffanychung.co. I truly appreciate interacting with every one of you. Catch you all on the next one.